Good day, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm a little late getting started today. There's been some construction in the apartment building and some machinery has been grinding, so I'm hopeful that I won't need to stop and start this video as we go along. If that machine sounds start again, I will just pause a bit and start back up again as we go. So happy you are here with me today on May 9th. Thank you so much for being here and the chance to meet up each Friday. Yarn with Heart is a place to enjoy a chat about yarn, crochet, and knitting. Sometimes people ask me how I chose the name for this channel. My husband Jeff and I found this name long before I even thought about starting a YouTube channel. It all happened when I was trying to think of a name to use on Ravelry and Instagram. This name represented much of what crochet is and was for me. At that time, I hadn't picked up knitting needles and I was mostly just doing crochet and making jewelry. The name is because many of the things that I make are using yarn, and they all have love in each stitch, and many of them are being made to give to others. Also, the little gold heart that I wear, that was a gift from my grandma, who I remember so dearly. So it's Yarn with Heart. I lived at her house when I was little and she was often sewing and working with yarn. I often think of Grandma when I'm stitching, and so this is how the name Yarn with Heart came about. That name represents the love and care that we all stitch into everything that is made with yarn, and the name also represents all those generations before us and in front of us who pick up yarn and needles or hooks. Warm welcome, everyone. To those who are returning, I'm so happy that you're here, and to those who are new, I hope that you enjoy the visit, and if you do enjoy, please take a moment to like and consider subscribing so that you won't miss the next video. Let's get right into it, everyone. Let's grab our cups and yarn and settle in for a visit. In case anyone is wondering about what I'm wearing, this is the Sweet Pea crochet top by Evelyn and Peter. I made this such a long time ago and I don't remember the hook and size that I made. I do know that it was made with True Boo yarn. That was a Lion brand yarn. All of the patterns that I refer to will have a link of information in the description box so you can easily find them. This one is a free pattern on the Evelyn and Peter website. First, I'm happy to say that I completed a scarf that I started last month. This one will be a match to the brioche hat that I made earlier this year. Some of you will remember that this hat was my first attempt at brioche knitting. So it's not 100% perfect, but I know that the hat will be warm and the mistakes are not too obvious. So this week I completed a cute scarf to finish the set, and it's for donation to Casting Off the Cold. The scarf is an easy 2-row repeat, perfect for social knitting or for while watching a movie. There we go. Oh, there, now you can see the stitch pattern. I really do like the stitch pattern, and the pattern is called Unisex Scarf. It's by KnitPurlDesign. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. The yarn I used for this are Big Twist in the color orange, and the gray is from Cambridge Fibers Limited. It was an unlabeled pattern, unlabeled yarn that I purchased from that store. I used a 5mm needles, and I almost wonder if I should have used a 5.5, as the edge stitches do curl under on each side. You can see here. Yeah. Please comment if you know how to fix this, as often the edges of my knitting start to curl under like this, and acrylic yarns do not block very well. So there might be another technique that will help to solve this. The next completed item is a shawl. That started out to be a shawl, and will now be a table runner or a bed scarf or a topper for my sofa. So please let me explain. Perhaps because of the yarn that I used, or maybe because of the characteristics of the pattern, I'm not sure which. The drape of this finished shawl, it does not work well as a wearable. I love it in the picture by the designer in the yarn that she used. However, when I hold this one out, it gets all floppy at the top. You can see how it's kind of flopping over. And when I wear it, this center panel, it kind of pooches out in an unattractive way. These go in, and this pooches out. Maybe I could show you what happens. There. You can see how that center panel sort of pooches out. Let's see. It's not really there. So it's unfortunate, but I decided to use this as a very pretty spring or summer table runner, or across the back of my sofa instead. And I think it's going to be really nice that way. I think part of the difficulty may be because that center motif is smaller than the outside areas. In this yarn, it causes that pooching. That's the only way I could describe it. And if I wear it sort of up toward my neck, it pooches at the bottom. And if I bring it down a little off my neck, then it pooches in the other area. So I decided to use this in a different way, but I do love it. And yeah, I like the colors that I chose too. And another interesting note, Judy from Judy's Creations in Crochet and I were trying this same pattern at the same time, and Judy will be showing her finished item on her channel and might talk more about her experiences. When I made this, I referred only to the tutorials, not to the written pattern. Although it uses easy stitches, the construction led me to think that people with intermediate skills would want to try this pattern. There are some parts that did take me some careful planning. The tutorial is called Wrap Me in Sunshine Shawl. It's a crochet tutorial by Nana's Crafty Home. I used a 5mm hook for this, and the yarn I used, quite a heavy yarn, was Hirschner's Heritage Cotton. There we go. This one. And it's in the colors Thyme, Antique Gold, Antique Coral, Antique Mint. It's made of 75% cotton and 25% polyester. I don't know if this yarn is still available, as I bought the yarns a while ago on a Facebook yarn resale group. So those were the ones that I used. Yeah. While I was following the tutorial and making this shawl, I wrote down a few hints and tips about tutorials, and if you think of any additional tips that you've learned that can help when you are following tutorials, please comment below, and I will do a part 2 about these to include viewer tips next week. So first of all, if there is a stitch in the item that is too tricky in the tutorial, try substituting a different similar stitch. Patterns are recipes, and it is sometimes okay to change things a bit here and there as long as the stitch count still remains the same. Second, if the tutorial is going too fast, you can use the gear area of the video. It looks like a little wheel, and click there to adjust the speed to slow things down. It was years before I knew about this, and I have used it often now to slow tutorials down. Before that, I used to have to pause and back up videos instead, and that was not as easy a way for me. Now, third, it's sometimes helpful to have both the written pattern and the tutorial, especially if there are many different rows to learn. That way, after the first time through the tutorial, you can refer to the pattern from then on. So those are a few tips for that. Now, for my work in progress, I have only one this week, and it is another shawl. I'm having so much fun with it and just cannot put it down. This will be for Judy's Creations in Crochet Butterfly of the Month. I'm so excited about the butterfly color having pink in it this month, and I knew I wanted to make a shawl for me to remind me of someone special in my life whose favorite color was pink. It will be like a hug from her every time I wear it. This was not the first pattern that I tried. Actually, it wasn't even the second pattern. This was the third one that I tried, and I really like this. It's called the Luna, and it was published by Expression Fiber Arts. The designer is the Crocheting Carr, and Shandy even had a tutorial for the first few rows. So starting off the shawl was such a breeze. Hearing what Shandy said about this shawl during her tutorial helped me to know this shawl was the one, and my hunt for the perfect shawl was over, so I grabbed my hook and got stitching. At first, I tried with a 4.5mm hook, and thankful that a friend who works with a lot of cotton in sport weight yarn said I should try a 4mm. I want to say thank you so much to you. I know you watch my videos. I really appreciate your help figuring that out. It is working out really well now with the smaller hook. The yarn I'm using was a gift from Judy. It is a Stenley yarn cake, and it is my first time working with Stenley yarn. I'm hooked on these. All the color changes are beautiful, and I cannot stop working on this shawl. If I keep crocheting at this rate, I will be ready to show you the finished shawl by next Friday. So here's a quick look at the stitch pattern. And now for a bit of a chat about the next chapter title for this week. This week's title is Make a Vision Board, and I have to admit, this week I have no experience making vision boards. I'm not sure what to say about this. However, I do have a question. Have you ever made a vision board? And do you have suggestions? Please do comment. So for this week, I will share a few quotes from Carrie's chapter, and they're found on page 81 and 83. Carrie says, "A vision board is simply a collage of images you pull from magazines and other places and paste to a board. It leaves you with a visual inventory of the stuff that bubbles up from your unconscious mind and heart to remind you of what you want." And then on page 83, she says, "So for an hour, rip or cut out images from magazines. Then for the next hour, paste them down." And then another quote, "Repeat this exercise anytime you feel that you need a boost of direction or inspiration." So, the challenge this week is to try making a vision board and see what happens. If you ever want to find a copy of Carrie's book to see what she wrote in this chapter, the book is called 30 Ways to Ignite Your Creativity, The Little Spark. It is in the description box if you want to search about it and find where to get a copy. Thank you everyone so much for being here, for sharing your comments and leaving your thumbs. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy your crochet, enjoy your knitting, and I hope to see you next Friday.